Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're stepping away from the usual, from the economic reports and the market trends.
Yeah, we're going a little deeper.
We are. We're going to conduct, I guess you could call it, a philosophical audit of your everyday life. Specifically, we're going to dissect the very strange habits that we call shopping and consumption.
And this particular deep dive, it has a really unique origin. It didn't start in a research lab or a university.
No.
It started, according to the source, in a waiting room. The speaker was just waiting for a poker teacher to show up.
Oh, poker teacher. I love that detail.
Right. And he's surrounded by these pretty heavy philosophical books, things like Samurai Stoic, A Toric Samurai, The Way of the Stoic Diamond.
So you have this amazing setting. Waiting for a lesson in how to make, intentional, unemotional decisions under immense pressure.
Which is poker, in a nutshell.
That's exactly what it is. And that setting, it just immediately frames the whole discussion. It forces you to ask if we can apply that kind of rigid logic and self-control to a card game.
Yeah.
Why do we just completely abandon it the second we open our wallets?
It's the perfect tension, isn't it? You've got this ancient Stoic wisdom on one side, which is all about control, reason, rigorous self-analysis.
Right.
And then you put it right up against the demands of the modern market, which, let's be honest, relies almost entirely on impulse and emotional urgency.
Totally.
So our mission today, really, is to take that wisdom that was meant for the battlefield or, the Roman Senate and apply it directly to the shopping mall.
Exactly. We're dissecting consumerism, but not just as like an engine of capitalism. We want to look at it as a psychological trap.
A trap that exploits our deepest, most primal drives.
And we're going to use Stoicism as the surgical tool, I guess, to understand that trap and hopefully to dismantle it.
And that gets us to the core question that came out of that initial chat.
Okay.
Is that intense but really fleeting joy we get from buying things?
Yeah.
Is it a genuine source of lasting happiness? Or is it just a highly sophisticated, very modern trick that's being played on our ancient hunter-gatherer brains? The sources we have?
Yeah.
They strongly suggest it's the latter, and the mechanism behind that trick is, well, it's disturbingly effective.
Okay, let's start there. Let's unpack this starting line because it is so resonant with the daily anxieties of modern life. The whole conversation kicked off with this seemingly mundane frustration, something that spirals into a huge philosophical realization.
It always does, doesn't it?
It does. So the speaker was just annoyed. He was annoyed about feeling compelled, almost obligated to upgrade a piece of technology.
And it was a vacuum robot specific.
A vacuum robot, right. A brand new advanced model, even though his old one still technically worked just fine.
And that feeling, right, that feeling of obligation to upgrade, that is the entire problem in a nutshell.
It is.
It just highlights this massive chasm between replacing a tool because it actually broke, which is a necessity,
and replacing a tool because society, through ads and just cultural pressure, told you that a marginally better, shinier version now exists. And that's when the realization hits. It's a huge one. Consumerism is not a natural state. It is a learned and, frankly, indoctrinated behavior.
That's a huge reframing.
It is. We're constantly told that acquiring things is this inherent, fundamental human drive, that consumption equals success, and wanting more is just ambition.
That if it's learned,
then we have the ability to unlearn it. That's the hopeful part.
the shift in perspective is, it's seismic. I mean, if you look at human history before, say, the Industrial Revolution, our needs were almost entirely practical.
Simple.
Very simple. The roof leaks, you fix the roof. You run out of grain, you find more grain.
Yeah.
Actions were tied directly to survival and function. The new object filled a real, existing, necessary void.
But that vacuum robot story,
Yeah.
it just perfectly captures the modern paradox of comfort, doesn't it?
How so?
We invent this brilliant technology to save us time and energy. The robot vacuums the floor, handling a mundane chore. But then the consumer cycle just kicks right in.
I see where you're going.
We spend the time and mental energy we just saved on cleaning, and we pour it right back into researching which newer, better version of the time saver we need to buy next.
So we're consuming our own focus and often increasing our debt.
It's this vicious cycle of efficiency and distraction. And this is exactly where we can apply our first piece of philosophical armor.
The Stoic concept of apatheia.
Now, apatheia. That word is so deeply misunderstood today. In modern English, apathy just means like indifference or being emotionally flat.
Right, like you don't care about anything. But that's not what the Stoics meant at all.
Not even close.
For the Stoics, apatheia was a state of mental clarity. It's something you achieve by resisting the compulsive pull of the passions,
What kind of passions?
particularly those desires that are external and, superfluous to your moral and physical well-being. It's about becoming indifferent to things that are indifferent.
Okay, explain that. Indifferent to things indifferent.
Well, a comfortable home is a preferred indifferent. It's nice to have. But a gold-plated robot vacuum that sings to you, that's just an indifferent. It adds nothing to your virtue.
So if we apply that to consumption, apatheia means having the strength and wisdom to look at the new, flashy upgrade and just say,
I see that object exists.
but it has no power over me because my well-being is not dependent on owning it.
Exactly. The compulsion it evaporates when you realize the desire itself is manufactured. If the old vacuum still cleans the floor, the desire for the new model is purely engineered.
It's just there to keep the economic engine running.
The whole system relies on us substituting genuine internal growth with these manufactured external desires.
Okay, but I have to push back a little here because this is where the conversation gets tricky for, the average person listening.
Go for it.
Isn't some of that desire just natural? Like aesthetic appreciation, we like beautiful things, we like shiny things. Are we supposed to live like monks, constantly resisting any pleasure from the material world?
That's a crucial distinction. And no, the Stoics were not opposed to comfort or beauty, not as long as it didn't control you.
So it's about control.
It's always about control. The problem isn't the item itself. The problem is the compulsion. If you buy a beautiful object because you genuinely appreciate its craftsmanship and it fulfills a lasting need, that's fine.
Right.
But if you feel distress or anxiety or inadequacy because you don't own the newest version, that's the compulsion. That's the moment you've handed over control.
And that compulsion is learned. So if we accept that consumerism is an indoctrinated behavior, the philosophical fight becomes about reclaiming our authentic baseline of needs. We need to continuously interrupt that conditioned response.
We have to ask ourselves, is this purchase driven by need, by reason, by virtue, or is it driven by a script that was handed to me by Madison Avenue or by my friends or by cultural expectation?
Yeah.
The moment you feel forced to acquire something you don't actually need just because it's there, you've handed your personal agency over to external forces. And for a Stoic, losing agency is the absolute antithesis of freedom.
And the psychological cost of this constant consumption, it almost always outweighs the fleeting benefit of the purchase. The time spent researching the upgrade, earning the money for it, managing the debt, and then what do you do with the old one? Storing it, getting rid of it.
All of it. It's all time and energy.
It all detracts from the time we have available for meaningful action.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the really profound reason why this conditioning works so well on us. And this is where the discussion pivots from, pure philosophy into evolutionary psychology. And it's arguably the most illuminating insight from the entire source.
I agree. It's a game changer.
The core analogy is so simple, but it's just brilliant. Modern consumer behavior is nothing more than a high-tech echo of our primitive survival instincts.
This really is the Rosetta Stone for understanding why we can be so rational in one part of our life, say our career or our health,
right.
and then become so impulsive the second we get a notification about a flash sale.
So what's the mechanism?
Well, the human brain evolved over millennia, mostly in the hunter-gatherer era. Our neural networks, our whole wiring was optimized for a few critical things: securing food, acquiring resources, and protecting those resources.
Because those things provided real, tangible survival rewards.
Exactly. The drive to seek, to secure, and to acquire is absolutely primal. And the source argues that capitalism hasn't tried to eliminate that drive at all.
It just hijacked it.
It has hijacked it. It has replaced hunting for survival with hunting for bargains.
Wow, okay.
The drive is, 10,000 years old?
Right.
But the target is completely synthetic. We are wired to seek and acquire scarce resources, but now we apply that same intense dopamine-fueled seeking behavior to discounts, limited time offers, and clearance racks.
Let's really dig into that scarcity mindset because the source draws this incredible parallel. It says the feeling of seeing prey running away on the savannah, that sudden spike of adrenaline, the urgency to capture a valuable, limited resource before it's gone, is psychologically analogous to the modern fear of missing out the FOMO on a sale.
Think about the neurological loop there. Our ancestors experienced genuine scarcity. Missing a successful hunt meant real hunger. It could mean not surviving the winter.
The stakes were life and death.
Absolutely. So that physiological response, the adrenaline spike, the focused attention, the quick decision-making, that was a lifesaver.
And now a website flashes, only 3 items left at this price. Or sale ends in 12 hours.
And boom, it triggers the exact same ancient panic response. We aren't making a rational purchasing decision based on utility.
Not at all.
We're engaging a survival mechanism that perceives the resource, in this case the discounted item, as scarce and somehow vital to our future security.
So missing the 20% off coupon for a product we don't even need.
Triggers the same core neurological frustration as failing to catch dinner.
That explains so much. It perfectly explains the irrational behavior we see on Black Friday, where people will literally fight over a discounted TV.
It's not about the $50 they're saved.
No, it's about the primal evolutionary satisfaction of successfully securing a scarce resource against the competition. It's the thrill of the chase, just repurposed and monetized.
And that immediate hit of dopamine you get when you successfully capture the deal. We mistake that for happiness.
What it's not.
It's not. As we know, dopamine is the neurotransmitter of seeking and anticipation, not satisfaction or contentment. It fades fast.
Which leaves you needing the next hunt, the next resource.
It's a chemical treadmill, and the system is designed specifically to keep us perpetually running on that treadmill. Advertising, social media, it all turns us into perpetual shoppers.
We end up seeking fulfillment by endlessly scrolling through online stores, instead of actively creating or connecting or contributing.
We mistake the act of searching for the act of living.
Which leads us to the second critical Stoic concept.
Understanding nature, or in Greek, physis.
Okay, what does that mean here?
Physis means recognizing the natural order of things, and that includes our own human biological wiring. If we understand that we have this incredibly powerful, ancient hunting instinct.
But then we have to adapt it wisely, using reason.
Exactly. If we just let that instinct be exploited by temporary discounts and marketing gimmicks, we lose control. The Stoic, armed with physis, recognizes the primitive drive, but refuses to let it be channeled into superficial acquisition.
So what do you do with that drive instead?
You redirect it. That drive must be redirected toward acquiring meaningful non-material goods.
Like what?
The hunter's instinct can be used to hunt for knowledge, to secure a deeper understanding of virtue, to gather resources, not things, but skills or relationships for your community. The drive to seek is profound, but it must be applied to profound ends.
I think this is a really powerful place for you, the listener, to apply this knowledge. The next time you feel that intense urge to click add to cart or go to a department store, just pause and ask yourself, am I experiencing a genuine need? Or am I experiencing the fear of missing out? Is this the primal hunter in me being triggered by artificial scarcity?
And if the answer is the latter, you identified the trap. The trap is letting those primitive drives be controlled by external economic forces designed purely for profit, instead of consciously applying your own reason to direct them toward true self-improvement.
It's the ultimate test of agency in the 21st century, isn't it?
It really is.
So, moving on, we need to address the vacuum in the room, so to speak. Why are we so easily lured into this trap in the first place? The source provides a really profound observation here. Shopping steps in to fill the massive void left by modern ease. It becomes a perfect substitute for meaning.
This is maybe the most insidious part of modern consumerism. Humans are, by our nature, creatures of purpose. We thrive on challenges, on solving problems, on contributing something.
We need to be engaged.
We need to be. But contemporary life, especially in developed economies, has. It's outsourced or eliminated most of our immediate existential challenges. We're physically safe, we're often financially comfortable, but we are psychologically bored out of our minds.
And when the mind lacks a constructive challenge, it finds a destructive one, or at least a distracting one.
And consumerism is the most readily available solution for that boredom. It offers this artificial activity and a low-stakes sense of purpose.
The source illustrates this so well with the example of the neighbor, Marion.
Right.
So she's retired, she's financially secure, she lives alone, and her days are structured by these monotonous tasks. A little cleaning, a lot of watching television.
Marion is the perfect case study for the bored modern consumer. She has met all her material needs 100%.
And
yet she has this innate psychological need for engagement, for a pursuit, for a hunt, and shopping steps right in to fulfill that need.
So what does she do?
She spends hours online, meticulously browsing discounts, comparing prices, and buying items she simply does not need.
The key detail here, from the source, is that the browsing itself becomes a form of entertainment.
Yes, which the source accurately describes as social hunting.
Let's break that down. Social hunting. What does that really mean?
She's not hunting for food. She's hunting for the best deal. She's engaging her intellect, her problem-solving skills, in calculating value. She's applying micro-strategies, making complex comparisons between competing vendors.
She's performing labor.
She is. It's labor, but the output is just meaningless accumulation. It gives her the illusion of productive work, of being busy and engaged with the world.
Without requiring the sustained, difficult effort of finding real purpose.
Right, like volunteering or learning a difficult new skill or starting a community project. Marion is fulfilling her hunter instincts by scanning the digital savanna of online deals.
And she's confusing that act of microcalculation with the act of living an intentional life.
It's the mental equivalent of running a marathon on a virtual reality treadmill. You experience all the effort, you feel the burn, but you end up exactly where you started.
Just more tired and with a house full of stuff you don't need.
And this brings us to the third defense mechanism, the ultimate Stoic critique of this kind of impulse.
It is.
Sophrosyne. It means temperance, self-control, and rationality.
So how does Sophrosyne help here?
Sophrosyne demands that we choose our actions based on reason, on virtue, on objective reality, not on these impulsive, superficial substitutes for genuine engagement.
So if boredom strikes, the rational, Sophrosyne-driven choice is to seek out meaningful creation or connection.
And the impulsive, conditioned choice, the one fueled by the system, is to seek the easy dopamine hit of consumption. The difference is effort.
Meaning requires sustained, difficult effort.
And shopping requires only a few clicks.
The moment of weakness is when that void opens up, right? When a person retires or a relationship ends or you achieve a goal, and suddenly there's nowhere to immediately direct all that energy.
Exactly. And the easiest thing to do is to fill that void with external objects that are just passive recipients of your attention.
And the cost of that substitution isn't just financial. It's philosophical stagnation. The Stoics were incredibly focused on prokopting.
Which is the idea of making moral and philosophical progress every single day.
So if you were constantly substituting consumption for progress, you are actively preventing prokopting.
You're busy. You might be very busy calculating discounts, making purchases, managing debt, cleaning and organizing all your new stuff.
But you're not progressing.
You're not progressing toward wisdom or character or self-mastery. You may be filling your house with goods, but you are not filling your life with enduring value.
So for you listening, if you recognize a bit of Marion's plight in your own life, when you find yourself habitually scrolling online shopping sites when you feel stressed or lonely or bored, you've likely found your personal consumption substitute.
And the Stoic challenge is to replace that learned script with an actual commitment to progress, even if it's more difficult in the moment.
It requires some deep self-awareness, doesn't it? To distinguish between the desire for genuine engagement and the impulse for just a quick stimulation.
It does. And Sophrosyne is what empowers us to interrupt that automatic response, to replace the designer bandage with real healing.
Okay, so we've established the internal psychological drivers, but we can't ignore the massive economic machinery that is driving all of this.
The external pressures.
Yeah. The source dialogue included the poker teacher's insight on this, directly connecting consumerism to the inherent structural requirements of capitalist economics.
Right. This is where we look at the system itself. Capitalism, as it functions today, demands continuous exponential growth. That's its prime directive.
So success is measured by production output, not by necessity or inherent societal value.
Exactly. If a company produced 100 million smartphones this year, they're deemed failures if they only produce 99 million next year, even if 99 million is more than enough for the entire population.
Which means the system has to create artificial demand. It can't just fulfill existing needs, it has to manufacture new ones, wholesale.
And the mechanism for this manufactured demand it's far more insidious than just simple advertising. We really need to talk about planned obsolescence.
Yes.
Planned obsolescence is the ultimate rejection of physis and Sophrosyne. It's a deliberate, systematic undermining of durability and quality. Companies design products, phones, kitchen appliances, software,
Everything.
with the explicit intent that they will fail or become incompatible or slow down after a predetermined period.
If that vacuum robot the speaker was talking about was actually designed to last 50 years, the corporation would effectively commit financial suicide.
The system cannot tolerate durable goods. Durability kills the consumption cycle. It's the enemy.
And the relentless pace of upgrades is part of this too, isn't it?
It's the psychological side of it. It's not just physical failure, it's psychological failure. My phone still works perfectly, but the camera on the new model is marginally better.
Or the latest software update makes your old model just a little bit slower.
Right. And that creates this compelling discomfort that forces the purchase. The purpose of this design is not utility, it's a continuous demand creation.
And then beyond obsolescence, you have the debt trap. The ease of access to credit, to microfinancing, it allows us to completely decouple the desire for the item from the painful reality of actually paying for it.
That's a crucial psychological trick.
We purchase based on impulse, and then the financing turns that one impulsive decision into months or even years of these small psychologically manageable payments.
It removes the immediate friction. Handing over a massive pile of cash would trigger rational hesitation.
Oh, of course.
But this replaces it with a gentle monthly bleed. And that monthly bleed, when you compound it across multiple items, subscriptions, microloans, credit cards, it traps the consumer in this state of permanent, low-level anxiety.
And that compels them to earn more just to feed the consumption cycle they're trapped in.
It's a treadmill.
The source dialogue, though, it highlights an alternative vision that aligns perfectly with Stoic moderation. Both speakers agreed that society would benefit immensely from producing fewer, higher-quality goods.
That shift it's radical. A shift from the quantity of disposable items to the quality of enduring craftsmanship. It prioritizes intentionality, respect for resources, and personal agency.
How does it improve agency?
If you buy a truly high-quality, durable item, you make one single reasoned decision, and then that mental energy is freed up for decades. The temporary product forces you to think about consumption constantly. The durable product frees your mind from the market.
Let's explore the powerful emotional high that props this all up. The teacher in the source, he likened the dish of acquisition to the Christmas feeling.
Yeah, that intense, fleeting emotional rush.
And the speaker expanded on that, comparing it to a religious or a cultural ceremony. Shopping has become a ritual, a modern mythology that tries to fill the void left by the decline in traditional communal practices.
I think that's so true. Think about the ritualistic language we use.
Black Friday.
Cyber Monday. The ritualistic unboxing videos on YouTube, the pilgrimage you have to make to certain flagship stores, these are all secular ceremonies.
And they're designed to generate a communal emotional high. They give consumption this layer of social acceptance and meaning.
So you aren't just buying things, you're participating in a shared cultural event.
But the fulfillment is external, which makes it inherently temporary and unsustainable.
The initial high of the purchase, the anticipation, the unwrapping, that's the dopamine spike we talked about. But as the Stoics warn against seeking fulfillment in temporary pleasures, this high rapidly dissipates.
And it leaves you in a state of neutral, or maybe even slightly lower contentment than before you started the cycle.
So you need the next ritual, the next purchase, to repeat the experience.
It's the difference between temporary excitement and enduring joy. The Stoic seeks eudaimonia, human flourishing, achieved through virtuous action, which is stable. It's immune to external loss.
Whereas the modern consumer chases the fleeting excitement of the purchase, which is totally dependent on external forces and constantly requires renewal.
This cultural ritualization is deeply powerful because it elevates consumption beyond just economics. It taps into our need for belonging and excitement.
But the philosophical response has to be to find genuine ritual and community in actions that align with virtue, not in transactions that benefit only the system.
Okay, so we've covered the systemic pressures and the primal drivers. Now we have to drill down into the personal foundations of desire.
The childhood stuff.
Yeah. The source dialogue explored how our deep relationship with consumption is rooted in early psychological conditioning. Specifically, the need for validation and belonging that gets established when we're kids.
This is where we introduce the Stoic concept of dogmata. These are our learned beliefs and opinions.
So our consumption patterns as adults aren't just rational choices we make in the moment.
Not at all. They are often just us playing out scripts about value and status and self-worth that were programmed into us decades ago. And the source identified two major contrasting paths that shape these dogmata.
Okay, what's path one?
Path one, people who grew up with scarcity, real scarcity, and now, as adults, they overcompensate.
So they equate material acquisition with security.
Exactly. with security, with status, with proof that they are now successful and safe. The drive to buy is a drive to heal a deep, ingrained fear of lack. Every purchase is like a protective shield against returning to that feeling of childhood trauma.
Okay, so that's one path. What's the other?
Path two is almost the opposite. People who were spoiled early on, they were constantly given material possessions.
And for them?
For them, the novelty just wore off quickly. Acquisition was too easy, and they learned very early that material goods, when they're abundant, do not provide deep satisfaction.
So what does that lead to?
It can lead to one of two things. Either an early disillusionment that pushes them toward non-material pursuits, which is a good outcome, or sometimes a generalized apathy toward value itself because nothing material ever seems satisfying.
The crucial point here, though, is the core lesson from the source. All our behaviors and opinions are often taught to us when we are children.
Yes. Our adult purchasing habits are often just reactions to or reinforcements of these learned scripts.
Yeah.
The fight against consumerism is often a fight against our own deep-seated childhood dogmata.
And that explains why breaking the cycle feels so emotionally taxing.
It feels like you're rejecting a fundamental part of your identity. The Stoic path requires recognizing these deeply embedded dogmata, these unquestioned assumptions about what makes us worthy or safe, and subjecting them to rigorous reason.
You have to ask.
You have to ask, is this desire truly mine, or is it a learned compensation mechanism that's designed to soothe a 50-year-old psychological wound?
And this internal struggle is then just mercilessly exploited by the external system. To illustrate the sheer scale and mastery of modern commercial exploitation, the source offers a striking, almost philosophical anecdote, the financial legacy of Michael Jackson.
This anecdote just shows how deeply the system can commodify every single aspect of human life, even tragedy.
So the source reveals that at the time of Michael Jackson's death, he was reportedly $50 million in debt.
50 million. That figure represents a life of extraordinary creativity, tremendous wealth, but also critically financial mismanagement driven by a very complex relationship with consumption and status.
But that $50 million debt, that wasn't the end of the story, not even close.
No. After his death, corporations and his estate executors meticulously managed his assets. They monetized his rights, his name, his image, his entire legacy.
And through this process of extreme commodification and marketing mastery, they turned that $50 million debt into a staggering income stream.
Valued at roughly $3.5 billion.
$3.5 billion. The sheer mathematical contrast is what exposes the tension. On one side, you have authentic creation, passion, personal turmoil, all resulting in debt.
And on the other side, you have cold, calculated commercial exploitation of his legacy, resulting in billions.
This illustrates the huge difference between authentic creation and commercial exploitation.
It does. The source speaker even mentioned his own struggle to market his philosophical books because he refuses to use techniques that manipulate desire.
He's standing against the very machine that turned Jackson's death into a multi-billion-dollar asset.
It demonstrates that modern marketing is not about selling a product anymore. It's about mastering the manipulation of desire, of emotion, of nostalgia, of cultural weight. The corporations didn't sell new music. They sold the emotional, culturally powerful idea of Michael Jackson.
Which is infinitely more profitable than the man himself was while he was alive and spending.
It really clarifies the stakes for you, the listener. If the system is capable of extracting $3.5 billion from the complicated legacy of a dead icon, imagine how easily and efficiently it exploits the subtle, learned desires and the boredom of an ordinary consumer just browsing online.
The system monetizes failure, it monetizes debt, it monetizes attention, all of it.
The core conflict here is deeply Stoic, isn't it? How do we pursue authentic creation and lead an ethical life when the global economic system rewards the highest degree of desire manipulation?
The philosopher struggles to sell a book on self-mastery,
while the market effortlessly capitalizes on every human emotion. And the answer, again, lies in the only sphere we can truly control.
our internal decision-making.
Exactly. We cannot stop the market from commodifying death, but we can prevent it from commodifying our attention, our time, and our sense of self-worth.
So, okay, we've dissected the psychological traps, the evolutionary triggers, the aggressive economic machinery. The path forward has to be about moving from analysis to action. The overall conclusion here seems to be that freedom from consumerism isn't about, becoming an ascetic hermit living in a cave.
No, not at all.
It's about understanding the mechanisms that control us and then choosing to act deliberately, reclaiming our personal agency.
It's like we need a philosophical operating system upgrade to navigate this consumer-engineered world. We've touched upon them individually, but let's synthesize the three key Stoic mechanisms that can serve as our defense system.
Okay, what's number one?
First, we have apatheia, the rigorous resistance to the compulsion to buy. This is that moment of pause.
Right, where you identify the manufactured desire, the unnecessary upgrade, the discount hunt, and you simply observe that desire without acting on it.
It's the strength to be indifferent to things that do not contribute to your character or your core function.
And that requires practice.
It requires practicing conscious discomfort. When you see an advertisement that generates desire, instead of immediately fulfilling it, you just sit with that uncomfortable feeling of wanting,
Yeah.
and you observe it fade. That act of non-engagement builds philosophical muscle.
Okay, second mechanism.
Sophrosyne. Acting based on reason, not on impulse. This is like a pre-purchase checklist.
I like that.
You stop and you ask, is this purchase rational? Does it align with my budget, my long-term goals, my definition of a good life?
Or am I buying this because I'm seeking status or avoiding boredom or just responding to fear?
Exactly. Sophrosyne ensures you are the pilot, not the passenger in your own life.
And the third mechanism.
Third, and this is maybe the most proactive one, is physis. Connecting with meaningful, natural activity. This is the positive countermeasure to boredom and substitution.
So if consumerism is a low-effort substitute for purpose,
Then physis reminds us that our natural state is to be active, engaged, and constructive. Find authentic purpose, whether it's creating something, learning something, connecting with someone, to ensure the void that consumption normally fills is already occupied by something durable.
these three mechanisms, when you practice them rigorously, they shift the source of your satisfaction back inward.
They make your contentment immune to the market's fluctuations and resistant to commodification.
Now let's bring it all back to where we started, the poker table. That image of the speaker waiting for their teacher. It provides the perfect metaphor for navigating this whole consumerist world.
It really does.
In poker, you are dealt a hand. That's your starting situation, your resources, the environment you live in. Life throws us uncertain, often difficult hands.
But Stoicism encourages playing those cards with calm logic and intention, rejecting emotional impulse.
And the market, it tries to turn life into a game of emotional poker.
When you play poker, emotionally chasing your losses, making reckless bets when you're bored, letting one good hand lead to overconfidence, you make terrible, impulsive decisions.
And that is precisely what consumerism thrives on. The impulse to bet on material goods, hoping to win happiness or status, even when the rational odds are stacked against you, achieving any lasting fulfillment.
The emotional buyer is the gambler who just keeps throwing money at the table, hoping the next card will magically solve all their problems.
So the Stoic poker player.
The Stoic poker player accepts the uncertainty of the hand, the fact that companies are constantly trying to trick them, but they maintain absolute control over their strategy and their decision-making. You don't get angry at the market. You adapt your strategy.
You ensure your resources, your attention, your time, your money are spent wisely and intentionally.
Only on the hands or the products that genuinely matter to your virtuous life.
The core takeaway summary then is, it's crystal clear. Consumerism is a psychological trap disguised as freedom and masked by cultural ritual.
It encourages us to recognize shopping as a substitute for purpose, not the source of it.
And Stoicism provides the robust operating system upgrade we need to recognize the hunter's illusion and escape the cycle of endless, unproductive seeking.
By identifying the mechanism, the hunter's illusion, the boredom substitution, the economic exploitation, we gain the power to choose not to be controlled by it. That deliberate choice, made day after day, is the definition of true inner freedom in this modern consumer-driven world.
This entire deep dive blending ancient philosophy, the realities of evolutionary psychology, and the absurdity of examples like the vacuum robot and the Michael Jackson estate.
Yeah.
It provides a really actionable framework for intentional living.
It does, and it echoes those timeless warnings from the Stoics, especially from Seneca.
What did Seneca say?
He famously advised that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And if we translate that warning into our modern consumer context, what is the greatest source of our imagined suffering?
It's the fear of missing out. FOMO.
Exactly. FOMO on sales, on status, on the latest gadget that promises a better life. We imagine the suffering of not having the thing.
The imagined gap between our current self and the advertised better self.
But the reality is that acquiring the item often leads to a new, very real form of suffering. The debt, the clutter, the management of all these things, and that immediate low-grade anxiety of knowing you will soon need the next fix.
So the imaginary suffering of lack is replaced by the actual enduring suffering of dependency.
We encourage you to use this insight as your philosophical training manual. The next time you feel the impulse to scroll or purchase, just pause and identify which mechanism is at play.
Is it the hunter in you, the bored person seeking purpose, or the child following an old dogmata?
And we'll leave you with this final practical and provocative thought to mull over.
Okay.
If the fear of missing out on sales and status is the modern manifestation of that illusion, what is one non-material action you can take today to replace a learned consumerist habit with an authentic, purpose-driven one?
And don't just buy a book on Stoicism.
No, do the difficult thing you've been putting off. Create something, repair something, deepen a connection with another person.
Find that void that consumption typically fills and fill it with intentional, constructive creation. Live deliberately.
Apply practical wisdom.
We hope this encourages you to look closely at your next purchase and ask, is this me hunting or is this me living? Till next time.
Welcome. I'm waiting for my poker teacher. He should be waiting already. I will switch over. First, I want to show you my books. Then we will talk about philosophy and also we'll play some poker. Let me quickly show you my book. That is my fourth book. It's called Samurai Stoic in French. Here you have the English translation, A Stoic Samurai. My fifth book, La Voie du Diamond Stoic. The same book in German. Finally, the same book in English, The Way of the Stoic Diamond. It is really awesome. I read my last book a lot when I'm in town traveling on my smart glasses. I really enjoy it. It's an awesome book. I really like the subject discussed, reading that when I'm outside traveling. Now I'm gonna start the lesson with my poker teacher. How are you doing, Norman?
I'm good. Yes, pretty good.
You did go to the countryside or something like this?
Well, to the big city. My grandpa lives on the countryside. Then I went to the capital and to the zoo, stuff like that.
Was it pleasant? Did you find it interesting?
Yes, very nice. I get to do more outdoors activities. It started to snow here. Now it's way more brighter. It was some of the coldest days we get the whole year. Now once the snow is on the ground, the light reflects from the snow, everything's much brighter. How about you? What's on your mind today?
Well, what's on my mind? I did have to buy a lot of stuff. I don't like doing that. I did a lot of research on why we buy stuff. I published a lot of videos about that. I already published more than 10 hours of content about that. I had to replace some stuff. It was the moment to buy some stuff that it's better to buy it now than later. I actually hate buying all that stuff. I find that people who reject consumerism, do no buy years, buy nothing rebellion, those people are on the right track. Because most of our behavior, the conclusion I came to is that most of our consumerish behavior, we have learned that behavior. They indoctrinated it in us. Most of it is totally useless. One of the things I had to replace today, I've received it now, was a new vacuum robot because the last one, well, it starts cleaning and sometimes after like 1 or 2 minutes, power drops, it stops in the middle of the room for no reason. It's just a bad contact, probably. But there's no way to fix it. I don't have the time to check it and I cannot ask anybody to work on it because it would be too expensive. I got a new one. For now it's cleaning great. It's the best vacuum I had. A robot vacuum only exists like for 20 years. I've bought more than 5, maybe 10 of them until now. We always have to replace them. Now the last one is the best one I have had. I paid more money for the vacuums I had before. It's still very annoying to have to replace that stuff on a constant basis. This one, it makes the less noise, so it's great for my neighbors, they won't hear it. The thing is just, consumerism never ends. And that's not the worst kind of consumerism. It was indoctrinated in us. We are hunter and gatherers. We should hunt for our food and our survival. And we should do everything ourselves. They have created a new form of hunting. It's hunting for bargains. Hunting for discounted prices. People feel the same. They feel the same like when they see an animal in the savannah. They are scared that it runs away, that they won't catch it. That's why they put a time limit on it. They say the offer is only available for the next 3 days. And if you don't seize it now, well then it passes away and you won't get it anymore. And all that is made just for you to be always hunting, checking for new stuff. We have to be very careful not to fall in the trap and to do it the less possible. I exploded my budget last year, this year too. I'll try my best to not do it again next year. Since I have everything, it should be possible to stop consuming. It's not out of necessity that they act. I've met my neighbor Marianne in the city yesterday, and we had a small chat. And she said to come with me to the shop. After the shop, we walk back home together since she's my neighbor. I said, let's do that. She wanted just some alu paper for cooking. She wanted the thick one. Apparently, the only one she can find is not the thick one. Then she spent like half an hour looking at discounted items. And she goes in the box, picks everything up, looks at it, and then puts it back in. It's a way of hunting. She doesn't need any of that stuff. So why does she waste half an hour, not just her time, but my time, just I was next to her, grab one or two things that I needed, like bananas and some tea. All the stuff she looked at, she doesn't need. There's no use for it. But she still checks everything. It's Christmas stuff and I don't know what. I have no idea what it was. But she goes through every box, picks up every item, looks at it and puts it back. If she sees one or two things that she thinks is nice, she buys it. That scrolling, browsing, or whatever it is a learned behavior. It's like if she was actually hunting, picking up foods in her environment. She's only interested in discounted prices. Those offers don't last long, so she has to check them. It's a learned behavior. It was indoctrinated in her. There's no way I can change her mind on that. I can explain to her that it makes no sense. All the stuff she buys, if she bought it for me, I would just put it in a bin. I don't know what to do with it. It's useless crap. There's no way you can explain that to her, but that is a learned behavior. She acts like somebody who is fighting for her survival in the wilderness. We have no more wilderness. We have no more contact with nature. They turned our hunting behavior into shopping behavior, hunting for discounted prices. She must also understand her life. She's retired, she has a lot of money. Her husband, for the first time, left for 2 weeks and went to Italy with his son. She was alone. The only thing she does is cleaning and watching TV. And then you get bored of cleaning and watching TV. How long can you watch TV and clean? She cleans an immense amount. Every day she cleans. Never stops cleaning. It's not 2 hours a day. It's like 8 hours a day every day. There's a moment you did clean it 5 times the room. So what do you do then? You watched every crap on TV. What do you do then? Let's go for some shopping. See if I can find something good. It's learned all the ads and everything you see on TV, everything on a smartphone pushes you to always go and look for the latest discounted prices on something you don't need, actually, you don't want.
It's quite interesting, yeah. Shopping is like a form of hunting, basically.
They turned it into that on purpose. If we know it's abundance, we could buy the article now in 5 years or in 10 years. It would make no difference. Then we would not buy because probably we don't need it. Most of the stuff those people buy, like Marianne, is beyond what she needs. She wasn't hungry. She didn't buy any bananas. The only thing she wanted is alu paper. Now that I don't understand. The rest, what's the rest? What's the half an hour she was looking at all that crap that she didn't want? She didn't even know if she wanted to buy it. That browsing, scrolling. They used our primitive instinct, so we spent money. They did it really good. There are people who are amazing. Look at Michael Jackson had 50 millions in debt when he died. When he looked at his bank account, it said minus 50 millions. There are people who bought up royalties. They turned minus 50 millions, plus they paid a couple of hundred millions for the royalties. They turned it into 3.5 billions. They are so good at marketing. They made more money with the death of Michael Jackson, selling his rights for his songs, being able to market him. They made more money with his death than he ever made during his entire life while he was working as an artist. There are people who are really good at selling stuff, extremely good. I'm bad at that. I cannot sell my books, I cannot sell anything. I'm even bad to explain to people why they should take me as a financial advisor. I'm really bad at selling anything. Because I'm not interesting. I don't want to waste time. I just do stuff because I love it. I'm interested in it. It passions me. But I don't want to waste time explaining to people why they should look at it. If they don't want to pick it up, then forget about it. I don't have any time to explain to you why you should. People are really good at selling stuff. What do you think about that? Isn't that amazing? What happened to Michael Jackson? All the money they made after his death.
Well, I can understand that. His songs are still being played in advertisements and people still go to concerts and buy his toys. I can see how his name, his publications still make money. Usually with artists, that's often the case also with writers or painters or all these people. It's quite common actually that they start to sell after they're dead, essentially. A lot of people like that, actually. My grandpa was talking a lot about all the new stuff he bought and how good price he got and stuff like that. I have friends who are, every time I see them, the main thing is they talk about the stuff they buy. They like to browse it, all that stuff. Here we have these like boxes, I don't know how to call it, like cabinets, I guess. All sorts of companies, usually close to shopping centers where people order their stuff. It's not like a home delivery. They're there in those lockers and people take that stuff out. There's always people coming and going and taking their packages. That's very widespread. I think you're right that it seems very big part of our society. There's this word consumerism. That's exactly this capitalism overall. I've thought a little bit about these topics, how capitalism, the success is measured in how much is produced, essentially. Well, if you produce, someone needs to be interested in the stuff that's produced. Is it necessary to produce so much stuff? I don't know. It would be way nicer if they produced less stuff, produced nicer stuff, more quality stuff, the better stuff. Somehow it makes people happy. It's like a Christmas feeling. You get a new stuff, you get a new toy, you get a new package, then you get happiness from it. I was quite spoiled as a child. I got a lot of toys for Christmas. Usually I got very many toys. I had like very nice things and I got a lot of this stuff that I wanted. I feel like for me, fulfilled that need when I was a child. I got a lot of things and it somehow stopped being so important. That's the only thing that comes to my mind, that maybe a lot of people feel like I've also had times I didn't always have everything I wanted. I know the feeling when I was in school and there was something popular and I didn't have it and I felt I was just less. I was not as great or not as cool, not as everything. I don't think it was a very pleasant feeling to have. If I went to school, I didn't think I had like the coolest or the best stuff. I didn't have too much of that. I don't think I was influenced too strongly by it. Some people must have had way tougher childhoods where they were always with the worst stuff, never had the coolest new toys, never had the best anything. That's where people get this feeling that they want to compensate for that. At least that's my guess. It's a mystery to me why people are so interested in things. I'm more interested in experiences. That I sort of understand. If people want to do something, to go somewhere or to see something, or to try something, or even to eat some food that they haven't tried, and somehow understand that. Things are also experiences in a way. A lot of things you can use for experiences, or they're an experience in themselves. A lot of people get their happiness from it. There's some hunter-gatherer in us, that we like this feeling that we're in a forest, we're looking for berries or nuts to eat, or we're looking at a fish trying to catch that, or we're trying to hunt. Maybe that's such an ingrained thing that otherwise it's just so boring. That's a good theory. Because maybe the thing I talked about, child, I don't think that explains why people are deeply interested in this.
Yes, it explains it up to a certain point. All our behaviors, we learn them while we are a child. Our opinions, they teach them to us when we are a child. The issue with consumerism is that it's meaningless. All the stuff she buys for her grandson, he will never remember. It's meaningless. Yes, he will take a look at it. Yes, he will play a little. But how many toys do you have to buy for a kid that is 2, 3, 5 years old? When does it stop? During a year, how many crap do you have to buy and give him? What do you teach him when you do that? That he has to do meaningless stuff all day long? That's important? Why not giving one piano lesson a week? You can start very young. You can start at 5 years. Then at least he does something that is meaningful and makes sense. It will be so awesome when he starts playing at a higher level. Why not do that? Instead of hunting for bargains, she could just start learning to play poker or travel or learn an instrument, whatever it is. Go play golf if you want. I really don't mind. I'm sure you can find better stuff for your money if you add it up. It's not a lot. What she bought was maybe 15, 30 francs. That's not a lot of money. Add that up 5 times a week, 360 days a year, it gets a lot of money. All the small stuff that she adds, it's not much once. Once you say it's just 5, 10 francs or 15 bucks, it's nothing. Do that 100 times, yes, you have 1.5k. Easily, much more she spends on it. It is said that people who buy stuff they don't want compulsively, they spend sometimes more than 100k a year on compulsive stuff they buy that they really don't need. There's an example from a woman. She bought a statue. The statue was not bad. You can look at it. She realized after buying it that she actually had no use for it, for that statue. The only reason why she bought it is because it was discounted like 80%. It was still really expensive, like over 1k. She bought that statue just because it was discounted. She thought if she doesn't buy it now, then she will never get it. You have to do something with your time. Unless you're a Buddhist monk, you're really good at meditating, you have to do something with your time. If you fall into the trap to go shopping, well, then you will waste a lot of money on stuff you really don't need, especially if you do it like Marian. You just check whatever there is. She didn't need anything. If I said, what are you looking for? She couldn't answer that question. She was still browsing, checking. Now, I'm not perfect, Norman. Huh? I buy crap that I don't need. I try to focus on stuff that helps me with the things I like. Producing videos, my environment, the screens around me. I try to focus on stuff that I would call for work and not just go out and buy stuff that is in no relationship with what I do. I won't buy equipment to go play golf if I don't play golf. There are people who do that. Huh? They don't play golf, they buy still the golf equipment. What would you like to do today?
Well, first I'd ask you how it's been for you recently in poker.
The only thing I can say is that my feelings toward the game seem better, a little better. I think I analyze it a little more, and I don't mind so much if I make it or if I don't. One of the games I remember is a game that was very long on the heads up, but he had much more big blinds to start with. I still managed to have as much as he did. I thought that there was a chance of winning it. In the end, well, he didn't fold. He had better cards than I did. He won. It took a long time. We played like 10 hands together or even more. It took a long time until the decision came out. I get better at taking losses and winners. That's what I want to learn. I want to be able to manage better taking losses and winning and be calm about it. Now my biggest winner in trading is the Japanese yen. I have a nice position open there. It's very profitable. But to get that position on the Japanese yen, well, I have to look a lot on the markets. A lot of times when I try, I'm wrong. That's all right. If I have on a continuous basis big winners who pay for all the losses. It's a little the same than in poker. You have to be able to live with the swings. There's something very interesting. The guy from Big Short. Did you watch the movie Big Short? He's called Michael Berry. He's a trader. One of the most famous traders we have since the Hollywood made a movie about him. He traded the 2008 crash with the subprimes. And a hedge fund will only close if you keep losing a lot of money. He was one of the best. I really would have liked to work with him and see what he does and why he does it. He really liked to short the market. In 2008, he did it with a lot of money. It worked awesomely, really great, because he predicted the crash and he was right. He took a huge position. He made a huge fortune with it. Then he tried to do it again and again. And unfortunately for him, it was a huge bull market. In the end, he had to close his hedge fund. The lesson is just that when you manage to make money in the markets, you're profitable, you should be grateful. Because look around you, there are a lot of people who end up losing, who have to stop what they do. As long as you can manage to survive on the long run, I'm not saying 6 months or even 1 or 2 years, but one cycle, like something like 5 years. If in 5 years you can make more money than you lose, that's really awesome. You should be grateful for what happened. Just look around you. Banks go bankrupt, big hedge funds go bankrupt. Those people are not naive, they are not stupid. They know a lot about the markets and they still mess up. Everybody who managed to make some money should be grateful because it isn't easy.
Yeah, that's the thing that helps dealing with losses or tough times. It's very difficult if the expectations are very high, then it's easy to feel like things aren't never going as good as you like. That's a very optimistic way of looking at it. That's healthy, really, because things are tough as they are. If someone's too optimistic, sometimes they need to be set a bit more cautious. But if people are pessimistic or don't think things are going too well, then what you said is true. Any success is really difficult to get and it's not guaranteed and could change. Someone could be very successful, then it could all change. Yeah.
In the markets, because he had to close his hedge fund after too many losses over a too expanded period of time, he was a bear. He liked to short the markets. That's what made him. That's why they made a movie about him. That's a bearish sign. When the bears capitulate, then normally the market drops. That's a very bearish sign. So the top could be in on the stock market and as well on Bitcoin. Just looking at the fact that he had to close his hedge fund recently is a very bearish sign. Because he's not stupid. He had good reason to be a bear. If it didn't happen now that he's not in the game again, it will happen. There's a high chance that it will happen from now on. The top might not be taken out. Unless things really turn around, then I see it with my indicators. The top might be in. That's how it is. It's a little cynical. The markets plays that kind of games with people.
I don't really know. All I know is war's not very good for economy, if I understand it correctly. Now there's quite bad conflicts in Europe, in Middle East. That's what comes to my mind, that it doesn't really help with the economy and trade and businesses and everything if there's so much conflicts that separate different countries. Just could be the seasons of the market that people were very optimistic, went good. It's just a normal cycle maybe of things going up and down. As a poker player, I have to say I don't care too much about it. Even if I have some investments, if they go down, if they lose, then it just happens. I just think of it like a poker game. You sometimes win, you sometimes lose. I am sort of expecting that sometimes investments go bad. That's just what happens. Maybe I'm too pessimistic. I try to be very cautious. I don't get bad surprises.
I get what you do. You put the expectation of a result quite low, so you are not too much disappointed if the outcome you're looking for doesn't materialize. There are always conflicts, there's always news. It's just herd behavior. People get a good feeling and get optimistic and start buying. There comes a moment, the feeling changes and they want to take profit and they start selling. If more people do that, you get a bear market. And always you push the price a little too low and then you push the price a little too high. Why is it a huge bull market? The states never stop printing money. The money will end up in the markets. That always pushes the markets up. It should only be the same amount then there's inflation. So if people get more optimistic, then it's a little more. During the periods they're more pessimistic, they're more scared, it drops a lot. It's just a normal psychology. Human psychology that you see. Everything else has very little impact on prices. Very little. Even if World War III would start, I would expect a sharp drop at the beginning because people get scared. Then once people start spending huge amount of money on defense, the budget blow up everywhere, the money will end up in the markets. I would expect a huge bull market, even if World War II starts. The only thing is, if World War III starts, will we survive, humanity? If nuclearization shows up, then maybe we just won't survive to see the bull market. If we survive, I would still expect a huge bull market, even with World War II. I expect a drop, just as with World War II, afterwards a huge bull market. The thing is, the drop is so severe and so hard that people will never touch for a long time again any investment because they're too scared. It's just a normal behavior, crowd behavior. The news, you really shouldn't focus on it. You should take a rational decision by having a couple of indicators you like. If you're an investor, you're just looking for making some money in 5 or 10 years. As long as you have something that survives 5 or 10 years, you should be fine. Or for your retirement. That's a strategy you can use. Normally, it won't be bad. If you want to know when the top is more likely or a button is more likely? Well, there are very easy indicators that help you a lot with that. They won't get it 100%, they will put you on the right track. It will be much better than just a guess or a feeling or the news. Norman, if you need any help with that, you let me know. If not, let's look at some poker. What do we do?
Sounds good. Yes, I will remember that if I need some financial guidance to ask from you. That is nice. For now, I don't have any questions on my mind. On to poker then. Do you have some hands you have marked for review?
No, I don't think so. I don't.
Before you did that more, is there a reason why you're doing less of it the past few times?
It's just, I was upgrading a couple of stuff. I did a couple of changes. It's really painful, but everything I buy, I have to go in town and pick it up. And sometimes they deliver even the wrong building. It was really a mess with all the deliveries I had now. It goes against what I'm teaching because I want to stop consumerism. It's just for me better to buy it now than to buy it in 2 years. That's why I did it. There's a higher chance that the bear market starts. For me, it's much easier to take profits now than do it in 2 years. I didn't have time to play that much and mark that many hands. I will do it again in the future.
Well, the past few times we've done this, trying to practice reading what the opponents are doing, getting a read of their betting, all this stuff. We've reviewed hands that you have not been involved in. We've done it 2 times in a row. Maybe it's a good time to take a little break from that. Actually, based on what you said, to me it would be interesting to review that long heads-up battle you had to see if we can develop some reads of the opponent there. Sometimes it's not easy to find that specific. I would guess I would look for a tournament which was a long tournament with a lot of hands happening. We'll work on heads up next time. Maybe we'll have some ideas. I'll surprise you with them. You won't have to worry too much beforehand about it. I would say that was not a very long tournament. Let's replay the interesting hands that happened. Let's practice a little bit. I know we've done it 3rd week now. Let's just build on this skill. What do you think player 2 had this hand? What's the obvious answer? What does it seem like what was the winning hand?
Well, he had an ace.
Ace, easy to have. People often play cards with an ace. It's tough to see how he would bluff into 3 opponents. It's possible he had something else. It's very likely he just had an ace this hand, I would say.
I agree.
Actually, let's review the hands you also fold, just to practice a little bit this thing of seeing what opponents do. Player 2 limp calling here. The player who won last hand. Let's see how it goes on. Then half bodish bet a fold. Didn't learn too much this. We saw player 2 limp calling. That's something. Now a hand you might play. That's a big raise. If there's any time to play hands like this, it's now early in a tournament. It's a fine decision. Let's see how it carries on. Very dangerous board. We get to see another card. We have 2 pair. One's betting. I really wouldn't dare to bet here exactly. If you want to, I guess you can bet. Your hand's worth something here. Your hand's worth more than 0 chips. What is that something that comes to your mind?
3 big blinds.
I would possibly even go for less than that, maybe 2 big blinds. 3 is a pretty good one, yes. The reason is no one's betting. They could still have a 6 or a 7. I wouldn't want to bet too much here. Actually, in theory, there's some upsides, some downsides. One downside to betting is you reopen the action. Could you explain to me how could that develop? How is that seen as a downside?
Well, everybody has to make one more decision. The good news is that some will fold. Somebody who has 9 was prudent could 3-bet me.
That doesn't seem very likely someone would raise you here. Possibly if someone had a very good hand, they would raise, you would have to fold. It seems fair to fold your hand. However, if you don't bet, you have a 5% chance to hit a 4 on the river. One downside to betting is sometimes you don't get that 5% chance to hit a 4 on the river. I wouldn't worry about that downside too much because I don't think it's very likely someone raises us here. Even if they do, we only had a 5% chance for a 4 anyway. It's not like we lose too much. One other downside is we lose an extra bet that wasn't required to a 6 or a 7. If someone has a 6 or a 7, So far you put 0 chips into the middle. Now you would lose 2 or 3 more chips against a 6 or a 7. That's actually, in my mind, the biggest downside to betting here. Even doing this small bet, that sometimes people have a 6 or a 7 or maybe even pocket fives, however unlikely, it's still possible. They could be a bit scared to bet themselves with a 6 or a 7. They wouldn't fold to a small bet. That's where you would take an extra loss that you wouldn't want to take. I would say that's the biggest downside to betting. Does that make some sense?
Yes, it does. Here, if you have a
Yeah.
6 and 7, you don't have a flush draw. I wouldn't play that. I understand that some people would.
It's quite possible one of this way. Maybe they have just like 6-5, or even if you have a 6, it still looks scary. The board with 2 9s and 7. You didn't end up betting here. I would think one reason would be that you think it's too likely someone has a 6 or a 7 here. The other chance would be you didn't bet because you didn't think of that very small bet. It's not very intuitive or something you're used to doing. If you're thinking of half pot or checking, then I see why half pot seems too risky here.
It has to go through 3 people have to fold in order for me to make some money. That's quite dangerous.
Now to the good news side.
Because
right?
if
So
somebody has ace king offsuit, that's nothing here. If he likes his ace king, he probably won't fold to 3 big blinds.
this is something worth discussing here. If you knew someone had ace king, let's say somehow their cards were revealed to you, would you want to put 3 extra chips in the middle with them coming along, or wouldn't you want to?
Yes, I would want to, because my chance of winning are higher.
Exactly. That's not bad news, actually. You could say we would want them to fold out. I can agree with that. The second best thing is that they carry on with their ace. It's okay if they don't fold. Although we would like them to fold, it's okay if they don't. Now, the big benefit to betting is that people might fold. Go on, you want to say something?
Keep on talking.
The big benefit to betting is that some people might fold. Whatever they have could have made a better hand than ours on the river. Even if we get 1 or 2 people to fold, I don't think we can get all 3 to fold. But even if we get 2 to fold, 1 player with their ace king calls, that would be quite good for us. Certainly it's a close decision. If you had a 7, I would really want you to bet here. But we don't have a 7, we don't really even have a 6. It is a bit of a close decision to go for a bet here. There is some good in that. Even if you went for a very small bet, even if you bet just 1 chip, there's some value in getting some people to fold. Maybe someone has queen 3 and they fold that and would have made a queen on the river. There's some value in that.
I agree.
All right, let's see how the river played. The river was a queen. Now someone makes this 3 chip bet. What do you think? Do I want to call this or don't I want to call this?
You don't want to call this.
I don't want to call this. Yes, now the flush got here. A new scare card, the queen. I was fine with the 3 chips with your initiative on the turn. The odds say we have to win it roughly 1 in 6 times. It's tough to see how we win it 1 in 6 times. I would just fold here, really. How it actually happened this river. Pretty good. You played it fine, actually. What's good news about it is you got to see the river with your 4s. There's something good in that. You gave your hand every chance to hit a 4. That's something that's nice. We have an off-suited hand here. In poker, suited hands are usually good. I have to be careful playing off-suited hands. Now you do something which I won't approve of. You start to mimic your opponent, which I'm not opposing to you raising again. Certainly I wanted to raise again. You raised way too small here.
I want to be sure that he doesn't fold. I want to annoy him. He goes all in.
Couldn't all of that happen when you make a bigger raise? Based on what he did pre-flop, how strong would you say his hand seems?
What is 1 big blind more? Who in his mind would put 1 big blind more on the table?
I agree with that, but He's still going for more. So that's usually a sign of strength, even if it's for one big blind. I agree that it's maybe not in the right mind what they're doing. Here's some rule I have.
If he would have gone for 5x, I would have just called. Hope he bets again on the flop. Now, what do I do with this one big blind more?
What sort of rule I have?
Do you want me to be sneaky that I just call? Then you want me to go much higher? There's a high chance he would fold if he didn't want to do a 5x.
I have this rule that if someone already put in 3 big blinds voluntarily, they will put in 3 big blinds again if you will ask them for 3 big blinds more.
Okay, then I should have gone for 3 big blinds more.
Now, that's not like a law somewhere. In my experience, if you had raised to 6 here, I don't see him almost ever folding. Very rare. If he folds, then probably he accidentally made this initial click. He wanted to click on fold, accidentally clicked on 3. Almost never someone would fold for 6. Even if you went 7 or 8, it would be quite unlikely for them to fold. If you go like 12 or 10, maybe they would fold. If you go double or a little more than double, then people tend to not fold.
I agree.
Let's hope he does it again. We have this chance, which he does. I'm not surprised by this because in my experience, this one big blind raise is actually strong, even though it looks quite weak. Why raise only one big blind?
Then why does he go for half pot if it's strong?
Before this form of poker, no limit hold'em, became popular, people played limit hold'em for tens and tens of years. It was the most popular game. In 90s and 80s, and definitely before that, people played a lot of limit hold'em. Actually, even in 2000s, even when I started, limit hold'em was way more popular. I started around 2013, 14, taking interest in poker. There was way more talk about people playing limit hold'em. That has changed now. I don't almost ever someone talk about limit hold'em nowadays. Times change in that way. Limit hold'em was a game where if you wanted to bet or raise, you weren't asked how much you wanted to bet or raise. You just had a choice of bet this amount. Some people play poker in this way. When they click on raise, they just click on that. They don't think about that they could raise even more or bet more. It's a bad explanation because in this case, he obviously made a bigger raise now. He did 23 big blinds. There are some newer players who play poker like if it was limit hold'em.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, now he raised 23. I would say he's not folding to an all-in. You can go all-in here. You don't have to be tricky, which you do. He's not folding. Let's see how it goes. Actually, didn't have a very strong hand here. Now, sometimes you ask me, is it possible to be successful in poker? This hand is a good proof that it is very possible. People sometimes make very big mistakes. I would say he made a very big mistake this hand. How would you think of player 7's play? What grade would you give him 1 out of 10?
3, maybe 2. What would you give him?
You gave a fair grade. 1 would be too harsh. He didn't fold his hand. He recognized king queen suited is a pretty good hand. He recognized that his hand is good. That deserved something, whether it's 2 or 3. Other than that, he played his hand way too strongly. He should have never ended up being all in with this hand. It happens. You gave him a fair grade. Now something to be aware of. Now you have 2-9 off, you're gonna fold. In these moments, it's important to be very cautious. Why is there important to be cautious?
I don't know. You want me to say that because I have a huge advantage, I'm first, I shouldn't use my...
No, this hand specifically, not the 2-9. Let's say you had something like king 10 or something weaker in your range that you would usually play, or like ace 4 or something. What's now unique about the scenario other than you being the chip leader, that is great.
But if I'm the chip leader, everybody should be scared. I don't know why I should be more prudent. I should be more aggressive. I don't understand why you want me to be more prudent. Everybody should be scared to start a fight with the chip leader because I can take them out of the tournament.
It's not that. It's actually to do with player 7 here.
Well, he didn't make a decision for now. He will go all in with any crap.
Exactly. He will go all in, which means that you have to be prepared for that. Now, most of your hands will be like an ace or a king. What's the problem? You can be all in for 3 big blinds. It's still something to anticipate. For example, sometimes you would be on a dealer button and someone like that is in the small blind. Does it now make your life easier or harder?
It makes it easier because I'm last to act. No, I'm not last to act. The big blind is last to act. On the flop, I will be seeing everybody.
In usual hands, you have a chance to win without showdown. If you raise and everyone folds, you win the hand. If you bet on the flop, everyone folds, you win the hand. If you bet on the turn, everyone folds, win the hand. If you bet on the river, everyone folds, you win the hand. Only if it goes all the way until the end, there's still some people in it, that's where cards would be turned over. Now when player 7 is gonna be all in, you won't get that chance to win a hand uncontested. There will be a struggle for that hand. Now it doesn't seem like it matters too much. It's only 3 big blinds player 7 has. It's still annoyance for us. There's still times when every hand has some chance in an all-in. It's just he will often win a bunch of these pots now by doubling up. It will actually make it less profitable for many of your hands to play.
I won't do it with a wide range. I will play my tight range and he will play his wide range. It should be profitable for me.
That is fine, yes. I don't see a problem with that.
The problem is, but maybe he doesn't play his wide range. If he doesn't, then he will be just blinded out. I don't see the danger in it. My chance of fold equity drops because there's a good chance he won't fold. I get that. I still don't think it's bad for my EV.
Danger is too strong of a word.
You want me to have tight range and fold equity. If I compare my range to his range, it's much better. I worry about it.
Because there's other players also.
I know it's nice to have fold equity. You don't always get that.
Look at your range for this position you're in, low jack. What's the worst hand you open here?
What would my worst hand be? Low jack. My worst hand would be something like king 10 offsuit. Probably I don't play it 100%.
What's the lowest cards offsuited hand you will have? Lowest cards hand. Can even be a suited hand.
My lowest card, 2-2.
That's a pair. Like your lowest cards, that's not a pair. Let's say you had 2-2 here. Whatever crap player 7 has, that's as good as 2-2. You would have to worry about all the other players. You'd still have to worry that player 7, even if he has 3-6, will have a 50% chance against your 2-2.
What are you teaching me? That you don't want me to play my 2-2 because there's one guy who short stacked?
If you play, it won't only be against him, it will be against all the other players.
That's always the case.
It is always the case. Now there is something extra to that case, which is one guy who is very unlikely to fold and also all the other opponents. I would say as a sum, that's a net negative. I would be a little bit tighter in this moment until player 7 is either out or he has more chips again. I know it doesn't matter too much. You lose 3 big blinds, you still are big chip leader. I understand that. If you play a hand, let's say you have 2-2. And you raise. If someone re-raises, you have to fold. That happens sometimes. Other players have good hands. Now, even if you don't get re-raised, you only get half the pot because player 7 will win the other half of the time. You won't get any big reward for hitting 3 of a kind with your 2 because player 7 won't give you a big reward. Player 7 limits all your big reward, can give you a punishment and take the pot from you. I feel like I'm making it out to be a bigger issue than it is.
I get it a little. How can I phrase it? If I play my hand, well, there's a good chance that player 7 won't fold. In this case, you tell me that he has a 50% chance of winning if I play that hand because it's a limit hand. It's the lowest two paired hand that I can play in this case. I shouldn't play it 100% of the time because it's not stronger. It is not 7-7, for example. My chance of making money with it is quite low. So player 7 has still approximately 50% chance of making it. And in that case, my reward is just not big. In every other case, when anybody else has something, I have to fold. I'm just risking my 2 big blinds. I cannot really make something out of it. Because if anybody raises me, I have to fold. It makes some sense. It's just that it doesn't seem huge. It makes some sense.
I agree with that. It's certainly not a huge issue. I'm thinking if I can find somehow how a machine could either confirm or deny that fact. Where I started is
because sometimes player 7 will fold. Huh? He won't play every time because he has 2.5 big blinds. Sometimes he will fold.
Sometimes he will. It's important to be aware of this. That's the first thing here. Because sometimes we don't notice that. If it's happened for you, for me it has that I open a hand, then I notice that after I open, someone will put me all in. Maybe it's even more annoying if they have something like 9 big blinds than 3. Because if they have 9, you raise to 2 big blinds and now they go all in for 9. Or 6 or 7. Maybe that was more of the scenario I was thinking of. Do you recognize the scenario?
You think it's more dangerous if he has very little, 2.5. If he has 4 or 6 or 9, then it gets even more dangerous.
Yeah, because then you raise and then you will do this small
Then he will be more tight if he has more.
That is true.
Which means he will fold more if he's more tight.
It just creates these unusual situations, but it's not a big problem overall. I agree with that as well.
It's interesting talking about it. It's something sometimes to be aware of. I agree.
Certainly when I play a hand, I like to know that. I like to know if there's a danger of a short stack player like that.
Would you like to jump to the next hand, or do you want to look at what my opponents do?
Let's see what he has if he goes all in. Let's see how it plays. This scenario, you're not involved in this hand. What's quite interesting here is at the moment, there is no side pot. Player 7 could win all this pot. I don't know how much we've talked about this. These situations make it extremely dangerous to bluff because let's say you're player 5, you bluff. And player 8 and player 4 fold, you're still not guaranteed to win the pot because player 7 cannot fold.
Yes, I agree.
This happens. Player 4 makes other people fold. This time he does win. It was still dangerous for him. I guess that's what I mean. This hand is a good example. He had ace 7. He made 2 players fold on the flop. There was still a hand like jack 10 shouldn't pose any threat. Had there been a jack or a 10 on the river or turn, this player would have won. And player 4 would have not won. It didn't go this way. Maybe it explains a little bit of what's on my mind about this situation.
I don't know if that's any better than C2 more card with 2 opponents. I understand that it's not sure that he wins with his 7, because even if both of them fold, player 5, player 8, he still has to win player 7. It's not sure he will win player 7. There's great value in having 2 players to fold, because if not, they see 2 more cards. Since that's 4 cards, well, anybody could make anything that could be better than a 7.
That is true. You should try to risk less to make people fold, because you know you cannot make one of them fold. That's the point in this scenario.
Well, he didn't go high. He only went for 4 big blinds.
He did very good. It's this special situation when one player is already committed to this pot.
I get it. It's again the issue with fold egg.
Yes, exactly. Good. Yes, now normal situation has resumed. We have a great situation here overall.
Why great? Because I'm still a strip later, that's why you say it's great.
Even with player 7, with their 3 big blinds, it was all a great situation. Very good start for the tournament.
Okay. Do you want to talk about his hand, or do we go to the next?
I'd like to. Not too much happened here. The only thing I would point out is this is a board which would be considered very disconnected, very dry, using this poker terminology. That means a lot of people have completely missed this board and don't like this board at all. The beautiful thing here is A very small bet from player 4 can generate a lot of folds, because this is a board that looks very scary. A lot of people don't want to continue on this board.
I agree.
It's something that's good to be aware of, that you don't have to make a very big bet to get people fold on this board. If there's straight draws, flush draws, sometimes people never ever fold. On this board, it doesn't take much to make people fold.
And there are only 2 cards. It's less chance of hitting one. If there were 3 different cards, then they have 3 chance of hitting one. But now they only have 2 chance of hitting.
Now there's only 2. If there's 3 different cards, there's 3 of each card in the deck. How many cards would be in the deck you could hit?
9.
On this board, how many cards in the deck?
5.
It's almost half, a little more than that. It's a very big difference. It's from 9 to 5. If you think about straight draws and flush draws, they're way more often straight draws. If there's 3 cards, you can have straight draws with all those 3 cards connecting. On this board, especially the 4 is distant from the jacks also. It's less straight draws because every straight draw can only use 2 cards from the board, not 3. There are way less action on these boards usually. Wow, what action this. If you were player 4 and had something like pocket tens, what would you do?
Fold.
Yeah, very scary here. It's raise, re-raise. Let's just see how it happens. I'm expecting some very player 4 folds, whatever they had. Player 5, 6, 7, 8. Very connected board. Here's something that's interesting. The way these players have played, how do their hands we think they have connect with this board?
I don't think they connect. Unless they make a straight, they shouldn't play those low cards. I don't see how they connect at all. I don't think they do connect. But the thing is, they have already a made hand. They
Very
have something
good.
like tens, jack, queen, kings, or ace. It's just a question who has the best made hand.
Exactly. Very good. Yes, why this is an interesting topic is it means on this board you shouldn't be too worried about the straight or 2 pair, the way the action has gone. Because there was this action pre-flop, that means I wouldn't be worried about a straight or a 2 pair or something like that. If I had aces, if I had something good, then I wouldn't be too worried that someone has my hand beat on this board. It's just that most people wouldn't be scared with aces anyway. In a lot of scenarios, I would be worried. If I had aces here, I bet someone makes a raise. I would be a little worried. Why are they raising it? With this action, now I'm not worried if I have aces here.
Who has the better hand, player 5 or player 8?
Well, who should have a better hand?
I want to say player 8.
Because he made the last raise pre-flop. If anyone has aces, it looks like him, that player 5 didn't re-raise again. It's not a guarantee. Sometimes player 8 has just ace king or something like that, but more often than not, he should have the best hand. If I was player 5, I would want to see what player 8 does here. Let's see if player 5 starts with a check to see what player 8 does. He does, and player 8 at half pot continues his story of having a good hand. Does player 5 fold, or
Should he fold?
if he doesn't have a made hand, it's very tough for him. Let's say he just has something like ace jack here
Why didn't he fold that?
to see the flop.
So he folds.
The key thing is look back to pre-flop. Let's say player 5 has something like ace jack or ace queen, right? Let's say he has ace jack, ace queen, wants to play for a little bit more. Now player 8 raising is very scary. Player 8 doesn't raise a lot more.
Player 5 had to win it once in 7.
Tough to find a fold then. He can risk more, 3 more big blinds. He has 39. Good. Let's see how it goes on. Player 5 limping now. Our opportunity to do that, I would here. I like that they're more courageous with that. What do we get? We actually get this board, which is a paired board. It has a flush draw now. Another board where people won't have this very often. A good chance if you bet here, they would fold actually. I know you don't have any good cards here. Yeah, all right. Now things change. Now there's 3 different cards, 3 spades. Now I wouldn't bet anymore. Now it's looking more like a spade will call, a king might call. Very tempting. Looks like one has nothing other than the 7 maybe. I would be tempted to bet here. The only thing that beats us, I feel like, is a 7. Sometimes they have it, not every time. If you bet like one chip here, you have some chance to win the pot. I would be tempted to do a bluff here, actually. Good you didn't. Looks like player 4 has something. Or he had the same idea. Maybe he's bluffing. A lot of stuff he could have. The king, a 2, spades, a 10, a 7. You played it well. You played it in a rational way. That's fine. We have a good hand. You have to always be careful with a good hand. That can happen a big trouble. Certainly gonna play it. Question is if to raise or call. I like your play here. Very strong flop for us also. Let's see what player 8 does. Do we like how he's going about it?
We would like a little more. It's great that he bets. So what should he bet? He should bet with an ace. Can he have a better ace than I have? Probably not.
Your hand likes a big pot. If he had bet, let's say, pot sized, I would be a little worried. Actually, I'm happy he's not betting very strong. I'm happy he's betting like a weak ace, not like a strong ace.
Because you're scared that he has ace jack, for example.
Not at the moment. If he had bet very strong, then I would be, yes. I really like this. You even go for a small raise. I think it's fine. He folds. Maybe he was just nothing. This is all good for you. Well played hand here.
But if he bluffs on that and first to act,
He didn't risk too much. He just risked 3 chips. If you don't have an ace, good chance you'll fold. He played it okay. But yes,
Okay.
you're. It could mean that he's an aggressive player. Not everyone would make a move like that. King 9 cutoff. You play King 10 off in cutoff, not King 9.
cut off. I should play it. King 9 off, I should play. Not 100%, I should play.
Now, as a chip leader, should you play it more or less than usual?
I can afford more to see flops, so I should play it a little more.
And you can, and it's more scary for other people. You can put more pressure on them. My first instinct was I would play this, yes.
Thank you.
Then afterwards, let's see, nothing too special. All right, now you will play. So all good so far. We have something. We have a pretty good hand here. I'm assuming you bet something like half pot here. Although I actually, how to say this? They don't have too many chips here. One player has 14, the other has 25. That's why I would actually bet less than half. Because I feel like even if you bet 1/3, it's still gonna put a lot of pressure on them.
Okay.
I know we want a fold. If he has something we're worried about, that's not gonna fold anyway. I like a smaller bet because that might get an 8 to call. That's pretty nice. That might get a 4 to call.
I get it. Thank you, Norman.
I'd bet third here. I think you're gonna bet half. Wow, you're not gonna bet here. I'm very surprised. Wait, something's weird. Player 5 just folded. No bet. Very interesting. Now we should bet. You played it very cautiously. It worked out fine. No problem here.
I did like the possibility of a flush. Only here, when he checks, did I feel a little safer.
That's okay. It's reasonable, although I like the bet there because you can fold out some king and ace. Had like one diamond hand. Right? Like if he has one diamond, he will fold the flop. Now on the turn, he might not fold one diamond. So if he has a king or an ace, sometimes turn is a king or an ace. Now you're jack speed. I would have liked the bet earlier. I wouldn't even say it's a mistake. It's a reasonable choice. You did have a queen jack, no diamond. It's a lower top pair with no draw and 2 opponents. It's good you see the distinction between ace jack or pocket kings and something like queen jack. That's a very good sign. I don't mind the way you played it.
Great, thank you.
This tournament's been going amazing for you.
I still lose.
Sometimes it happens.
I still don't make it to the bubble.
That shouldn't really happen very often with 7 players. It sometimes happened, yeah. You got some unlucky hands. And the only thing I see now is a lot of people have these all-in stacks. Some gamble will likely happen. Yeah, we can bet a little bit here. Not on the flop. I like the flop. Flop is good. Now on the turn, you can bet a little bit here. 1 or 2 chips is fine. Now we have to fold. Every 5 is a straight here. He's also betting big. And also player 6 is here. I hope you really folded here. Now you have to do some explaining for me. That's very surprising you did this decision. You had played so well. And this I would say was a little surprise. Maybe you missed a straight here. Could it be you didn't notice every 5 is a straight? You must have noticed he bet very big. He bets more than pot even. even.
I shouldn't have done that. I agree.
Player 6 was also someone, I know he folded. You couldn't have known he would fold. Once you're here, before you call here, you have to be certain you're better than player 2 and player 6. That's quite tough.
I agree. It was a bad move.
It doesn't matter if bad or good. For you is to think how you can avoid that in the future. What made it happen?
I don't know why I did it. Did I not see the straight? Maybe. Was I distracted? I don't know. Did I think that my second pair was good enough? I have no idea. I don't remember. It's too long ago.
It's fine. You know what's important is how to not make a next mistake. Everyone makes a mistake, but a good player won't make the next mistake. With this here, sometimes I would feel very annoyed, just wouldn't play good the next hands. I hope it didn't happen to you. You know that feeling you play one not very good, then the next hands, you feel like you're playing in a worse way because of it?
It happens sometimes. I know.
No comments really on this one. That's reasonable. I like it. Good. Even though one hand wasn't good, this hand is good. Very interesting tournament. Everyone has a few chips. This is something special actually. That usually when you have 12 big blinds, you're in a bad situation. Actually here, so many people have 6 and 4 and 7. That changes things. Maybe we have to talk about it more the next time. How the usual all-in things you do. In this case, your second in chips, your 12 big blinds is a lot of value here. You should be quite prudent with these chips. That's the point. Even though it doesn't look a lot, 12 big blinds, relative to your opponents, it's a lot. Unfortunately, I cannot go deeper into this today because I have another meeting in 2 minutes.
Let's stop.
I hope you found it worthwhile today.
It was great seeing you, Norman. It was interesting. The process is long. It would be a little faster if I play a little more. Let's see if I do that.
I can only say I see positive signs week by week in your process. I'm happy with that.
Thank you, Norman. See you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.